Hey there YouTube, today we're working on the front brake pad and rotor replacement on a 2010 Chevy Equinox. First part, get access to the caliper. We're going to be removing those 14mm bolts from the caliper. Impact makes quick work of this. You can see how easy it comes out, and you just slide those bolts out. And if you pull back on the caliper a little bit, it'll compress it just enough for you to slide it off with minimal effort. Now, don't hang the caliper, but you can kind of put it up, on the knuckle, and everything will be just fine. It'll kind of stay there. Support it if you have to, but usually not a problem. And then just slide those brake pads out. These ones are pretty down there, almost metal on metal. Pry out with a screwdriver if you have to. I'm going to use a 17mm socket to remove the caliper bracket bolts, which I did a horrible part in filming this. But yeah, they're right there. Caliper bracket comes off. There actually is a T30 Torx bit that holds the rotor on. I forgot to film that part, but once you have that Torx bit out, you can drill it out if you have to, if it can't get loose. But just hammer that rotor back and forth and break that rust ring, and should have no effort coming right out. This one was being a little stubborn, but could have hit it a little harder too. And like I said, not too bad. They come right out. And you can see on this rotor, the reason we're replacing it, there's huge rust ridges on the backside. Even turning the rotor, you won't be able to access it. And that brake pad, completely trash, not grooving right. Even on the front, you can kind of see, it's still grooved in the edge. You'll never get that rust line out by turning the rotor, so time to replace. Next step is taking a die grinder or sanding bit and removing all the corrosion from the hub surface. Any corrosion that's still there will actually, cause the rotor to not sit perfectly flat and cause your, brake shimmy, shakeage, all that stuff. So I try to get rid of as much corrosion as I can. Getting inside of those studs is a little difficult, but with this wide 3.5-inch disc, you can usually get kind of around them. Takes a few minutes. I also do the outside edge so that rotor slides on no problem and doesn't have any, scaling or anything holding it back. And the next step is we're going to be getting that caliper bracket and cleaning up, the caliper bracket. Now, rust will actually, if your brake pads don't slide easily in and out of the caliper bracket, it's usually rust, not actually the brake pads not being designed right. So get your clips out there. I always recommend replacing them. Clean them up if you have to. But make sure you get all the rust behind those clips away and get any scaling or rust away from the caliper bracket. Otherwise, your brake pads are just not going to fit right. That's why you can see me right now. We're just going through, cleaning up everything. All the back and forth setup. And even take a file to it if I have to. Get that rust and scaling out. Steps for a proper brake job. Now, I kind of in this step skipped a little bit, but I do have silicone brake lubricant that I'm going to put on the pads. But you can see, with the file, I'm cleaning up any edging or anything that's going to cause those clips not to sit right. And anything that's going to, cause corrosion or brake squeal or anything. So we have our new, anti-rattle clips or brake slides, caliper, hardware. And then I pop the slides out. They look pretty good. You can see the one, the little rubber edges usually like to fight, but there's a little bit of scaling on there. What you do is you clean up that, just do a quick shine. You can use a wire brush or something, clean up that slide and re-lubricate with brakes, silicone lubricant. As you see, I have in the bottom corner, not a good shot of it, but I'll have it in the description. Now we're going to be cleaning, that oil, shipping oil off the rotor. You don't want that to get into your brake pads. It's going to cause issues, and you don't want it there. So now, just clean both sides of the rotor, And I usually do a quick spray down and wipe down after I'm done assembling too. Sometimes I get a fingerprint or oil or something, on the rotor. You don't want that there. So with our hub surface clean, you're going to slide that rotor right on. And then, like I said, I forgot to mention about that T30 bolt earlier. You just zip that on, and they'll hold the brake rotor nice and in place for you while you're assembling everything, and you don't have to sit there and put a lug nut on or fight it. It's just easy, and I usually don't have a problem getting them out. So now we're going to put the bracket on, and 17 mil bolts come in. Make sure they're threading in by hand, nice and easy. You don't want to be stressing them or anything like that. And make sure they're going to thread in right. I'm just going to zip them with an impact right now. I'm going to torque everything later. And so, now that the caliper bracket's there, got our brake pads, you want to make sure that you are really going to slide in there and be easy going. If they fight you at all, the caliper bracket has not been cleaned, or there might be a little bit of scratching or something not fitting right on the brake pads, so they can be filed down a little bit, but don't just hog out your brake pads. It's going to cause you issues later. So now we're going to compress the brake caliper in. I got a nice handy tool for that. C-clamp works too. You're going to press that in. Make sure it goes in nice and smooth. If it doesn't push in, you might have an issue. Also remove your brake cap and everything. Slide that over the brake pads. And put your 14 mil bolts back in. Yeah, and we'll go through with the torque wrench later, but that is your brake pads installed. Voila.